What's up guys, welcome to a new tutorial. It's been a while, I know. Today I'm going to show you how to make ambient beats for like Destroy Lonely or Dumb Corleo, because this was the most voted option in the poll that I did. But don't worry, I'll make a video on the other genres too, just will take a little bit more time. So for this tutorial I'm going to be using my beat called Aurora. Full beat is in the pinned comment as always, but I will also show other beats just to make this tutorial as full as possible. Also, if you want to listen to my beats, you can check out my Spotify. I have an account for my beats and also an account for my songs. So yeah, please check them out. I'll link them in the description below. So let's just hop right into it. Okay, so the first sound that I used is this Omnisphere preset right here. It's like a bell sound. It has like a really eerie, dark vibe, and that's perfect for these type of beats. I just made like a very simple melody. I didn't like overcomplicate it or anything. I just repeated this pattern like 4 times, and I used a 1/6 chord progression. That chord progression is really useful in this type of beats because it has like a dark, emotional vibe. Other chord progressions that you can use are, for example, 6, 5, 1, 3, or also maybe something like 1, 3, 6, 7. You can literally use that chord progression for any type of beat. And by the way, we are at 130 BPM. Keep your tempo at like around 120, 140 on the slower side, you know. The next thing that I did is layer the main sound with a bunch of pads or ambient sounds. And first I used this patch from Omnisphere. It's a really cool pad sound. It has this really cool granular sound. And yeah, I literally just copied the melody and pasted it here. So then what I did is again layer it with more sounds. And in this case, I used this pad from Nexus that it has like these really cool overtones that add a lot of texture to the sound. So again, I just layered it, and this is how it sounds like. And of course, it wouldn't be a Destroy Lonely Dumb Corleo type beat without any vocals. This is what I came up with. And you know, usually people use samples, but I just recorded them myself. And how I did that is first I decided which notes I wanted to record. So I wanted to record these 2 chords, B minor and G major. Like I said, 1/6 chord progression. So you have to record all these notes individually and then just put them together. So that's exactly what I did. First one note, then the other one. As you can hear, just a little bit of autotune. So this is how it sounds like at first. It's kind of bad, but we can fix it adding effects. So what I did is render it in one single clip, and then I added a bunch of effects. EQ, some reverb, this shaper box preset. This preset really changes the sound. So this is without it, and this is with it. It adds a lot of groove. And I tweaked this preset a little bit. I just changed a couple of things here, deactivated the filter and the compressor, just so it fits better with the vocal. And also a little bit of Pan. And I also recorded myself making this beat from scratch. You can watch it later, link will be in the top right corner. And I also added this vocal chop, just to hit like once every 16 or 32 bars. And finally, I added this lead sound. It's just like a sound lead with some glide and some reverb and delay, nothing complicated. In some sections of the beat I also use this Reese type bass. This is how all the melodies sound like together. Okay, so as I said earlier, I'm also going to show you other melodies that I made. And for this beat, I just used one note. It's this contact preset in Ethereal Earth. It literally doesn't need anything more. You can just find like one ARP sound that you like and make a whole beat around that ARP. Okay, so this is another Destroy Lonely ambient type beat. And for the melody, I just used an ARP again. This is just 3 chords. It would be this one, this one, this one. And this is a 6, 7, 1 chord progression. But I just lowered the last chord by 1 octave. So yeah, that's basically what I did here. I just dropped this chord down. And then I grabbed the second note of every chord like this, and raise them by 1 octave. And that kind of separates the chords and it makes them sound just a little bit cooler. And I just layered it a couple times with some pads. And finally I added this bell sound. So yeah, you don't really have to do anything crazy, especially if you are using something like an ARP. And this is everything together. Okay, so moving on to the drums, I laid down this 808. With this specific 808, I find it better to use higher pitch notes because it sounds better for some reason. And in this type of beats, you can also use like a long steady 808, like for example in the other beats that I showed you. And with this type of 808s, I find it better to use also a kick to make it like hit harder, like to give it like that punch. Okay, so back to the drums, I add this clap, just a standard clap pattern. This clap is commonly used in like plug and B, it's like a little bit softer. And then I add this hi-hat pattern. It looks kinda crazy, but that's just because I use different notes. And I left the spaces right here, just to give it a little bit more bounce. So this is how it sounds like with the clap. If I put a note right here, or like here, it doesn't have like that bounce, you know. So if you want bouncy hi-hats, then you have to leave a couple spaces. You know, you could also use like a 2-step pattern, but for this beat I just felt like adding a more bouncy hi-hat pattern. So then I added this rim, just to make it a little bit more bouncy. A little snare, this muffled chant, and finally another snare. And lastly, I added some sound effects, like for example this riser. You've probably heard it in 1,000 songs. This crash. And this riser. So if I play all the drums together, you'll see how important those gaps, those spaces are when it comes to adding bounce to your drum patterns. I also added a little bit of reverb to the drums so that they can fit better with the ambient pads and sound. Also when it comes to mixing, I didn't really do anything crazy, just EQ the melodies and some of the drums too. You know, the only crazy effects I used are these ones and I already explained them. And yeah, that's really about it. Thanks for watching. Also, we just hit 30k subs, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And a lot of you guys ask me how I get my FL to glow. I hope I don't disappoint you, but my FL actually doesn't glow. It's edited in. And yeah, just let me know what other beat you want me to break down. And I'll see you guys later.